The other trend, where there's been a lot of research done, is that optimistic people overcome obstacles, okay? So this goes towards people who have decided that they're in 3rd or 4th stage cancer, and suddenly, or to medicine anyways, it seems like suddenly they've recovered. A lot of people have recovered from very severe brain injuries. I mean, I met one of them in Gatineau. It was a miraculous story about how a guy who almost severed his head off his body and how he recovered from his brain injury. So optimistic people are grateful, they're generous, they hang out with upbeat people, they ignore naysayers, they're more successful, they're more persevering, and they have better health overall. That's what we need to aim for. We have to stop our most natural way of thinking and feeling and thinking to repattern the brain. Because in this case, natural means habitual. So what do you habitually like? Okay, now we're going to head into my reality check for advanced neuropsychology. Worry. This exercise is about worry. Many people worry. They have deep concerns about what's going on in their lives. A worry is a problem, it's a concern, it's trouble, it's a pain in the neck, it's a headache. It's a metaphor when you really think about it, because concussions come with a pain in the neck often, but definitely headaches. Okay, so what are the headaches in your life? And another word for worry is stress. It's a form of personal torture. And it's also a negative affirmation, because what are people doing when they worry? They're thinking the same thing over and over again with the emotion, and it's a very negative emotion, because this is how you build neural networks in your brain. Every time you've got a thought that is driven by a strong emotional connection, you are building a neural network in your brain. So the goal of this exercise is to eliminate negativity and helplessness, and to cultivate self-confidence and optimism, as Gail said at the beginning. This is what you must focus on, because that will mean that you will build a different kind of neural networks in your brain. So we've got pads of paper out there that you can use, or you can use whatever pieces of paper that you have. But basically you want one large column where you put worry on top of it, and then two very narrow columns for control and responsible. Okay, so this is what I want you to do. I want you to list all the items in your life that you're worried about, okay? That's the first thing that I want you to do. Since we don't have a lot of time, I don't really want you thinking too much. I want you to do a brain dump and just write like crazy, okay? So I'm going to give you 4 minutes, but first, does anybody have any questions about this process? Okay, then let's start. Pretty fast? Okay, great. All right. Okay. Let's talk about control. What do we really have control over? Any takers? Us. Good. Okay, more specifically, yes, we do have control over ourselves. More specifically, we have control over our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, the decisions that we make, and the actions that we take based on those decisions. Now, by simple omission, what do we don't have control over? Good, good. Okay, so by omission, we don't have control over other people, children, animals, events, situations, things outside of ourselves, okay? For some of my clients, just this one thing really lifts up a whole weight of the world off their shoulders, okay? When they finally realize that they're not in control of anything other than themselves. So a very close sister to control is responsibility. What are you responsible for? Again, yes, yourself. And because I said it's a very close cousin to control, you're also only responsible for yourself, for your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, the decisions you make, the actions you take, and the results that you get. The only time there's an exception is when you are bringing up children, and then you are responsible to and for them until the age of majority. And then after that, they really should be on their own, okay? Oh, shoot, yeah. So by omission, again, you're not responsible for someone else's feelings, what they're thinking about, what they do. So again, it comes back to what you don't have control with, right? You have no control over what somebody thinks, what they're doing. You are not responsible for making somebody else happy or sad or angry. And in turn, you're also not, somebody else is also not responsible for making you happy, okay? So very important point. So the next part of this exercise is to go back and look at all your worry items. And you've got your little columns of control and responsibility, okay? So I want you to put a check mark next to that item if you are in control of that situation and if you're also responsible for it. So a check mark if you are in control and are responsible, and X if you're not, if you don't have control or you don't have responsibility for that item. So I'll give you a couple of minutes. All right. Okay, so the next part of this exercise is to go back to your list again, and anything that doesn't have 2 check marks against it, you cross it right off. So you don't need to be worried or concerned about the things that you have no control over or not responsible for. So you're only going to have the things, items that have 2 check marks against it. So 1 minute for that. For the items that still remain on your list, one of my clients found this so useful because she was so worried about her kids. And basically, the house was designed in such a way that the master bedroom was on a different floor from where the kids were. So she used to worry that if something terrible happened, that she wouldn't be able to get downstairs fast enough to get her kids out. So when we asked this one question, it really helped her because she couldn't think of what could possibly really happen, okay? So this is what worry is about. The question is, what evidence do you have that something really bad is going to happen with that last item or those few items that you have, okay? What evidence do you have that something really bad is going to happen with that? So I'll give you a minute. All right, so usually my clients only find one thing that really worries them a lot, maybe sometimes 2. And so then it becomes their priority for that one thing that they've identified so that they can spend all their energy on that one thing in order to solve the problem, okay? Sometimes they have two, so I will get them to choose one item as their top priority. Because the whole point of this exercise is to show that you can handle whatever life throws at you. You are that capable, you are that competent a person. So right now, I want you, if you've got more than one item on your list still, I want you to pick the highest priority. If you only have one thing, then what I want you to do now is to set a goal or an outcome for that particular item, and I want you to write down the steps that you are going to be using in order to achieve that goal. And then you are going to put a deadline with it, because there's nothing like urgency to make action go fast, okay?